Hey guys, welcome to the PitMaster Secrets Podcast. I'm Frank Cox. I got my buddy Jessie Stanley here from PitMaster Pastor, and we're going to do a quick interview right here. He's a guy that you're going to have to be watching now. I'm telling you, he's come out of nowhere. He's the rookie in this barbecue industry here, but be watching. It's going to be an interesting story. Anyway, going to cue up the intro, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the PitMaster Secrets Podcast. Well, welcome to the show, Jessie. How are you today, man? I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Frank.
You drove, 4.5 hours to get up here?
4 hours. 4 hours from Tulsa. It wasn't a bad drive up I-44.
Yeah. And how long have you been to this part of Missouri before?
I never have.
Really?
Never have.
This is the Ozarks, dog.
This is the furthest I've been, and I'll tell you, it's beautiful.
There's a lot of trees, a lot of hills, some rivers here and there.
Rivers, past a few rivers.
And well, anyway, so we're going to talk to you a little bit about what your mission is and stuff like this. It's really cool what you're doing. You actually came up here because you've been doing some research and stuff, and you decided you want to try to tie into this ugly drum stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so we've been talking now off and on for about a month.
Yep.
Really, just about the barbecue industry and different things like this. And so I got a few questions for you. You ready to go?
I'm ready. This is
All
like
right.
the hot seat.
Yeah,
20 questions.
a little bit. We got 5. But,
5, okay.
so anyway, so the first thing I want to talk about is you've got this thing you call barbecue myth busting.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah.
What is barbecue myth busting?
All right, so here's what we know, that there's a guy somewhere right now in his backyard wondering why what he's cooking doesn't look or seem to taste like the things he's seeing on YouTube or on Instagram, right? And he's believing all these things that he thinks is going to help him achieve great barbecue, whether it is the rub he uses or the cooker that he's cooking with or the temp he's taking it to. And so
for internal temp.
For internal temperature, yep. So barbecue myth busting is kind of dispelling those myths that you can't create great barbecue in your backyard. And
Dude, that's awesome. So the average new guy to barbecue is just getting pounded with information from all sides, and he's got it's up to him in his journey to try to figure it all out. What sticks, what doesn't, what are we doing here? And that's kind of your mission. You're going to go in there and almost take on the challenge of what actually does work and what doesn't work.
Yep.
So why did you start it? Let's talk a little bit about that. Kind of like origin. How did you figure out that you want to do this?
Well, all right, so going way back, obviously, I always have loved barbecue, and watching somebody like my dad. And my dad, he cooked on everything from a Weber kettle to a gas grill, all the way to an offset smoker. Like he did everything, and gave you a love for barbecue and what it was like. So, man, knowing that I've always loved barbecue, so I started to set out and like, how can I help other people be able to accomplish great barbecue in their backyard and love what I've come to love in barbecue.
Oh yeah,
you know, the community that it brings, which is
definitely
awesome.
Brings community. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's your neighbors or going other guys who are trying to achieve great barbecue, it creates a great community. So I set out just with that goal in mind, and it all started just with me getting my first grill and my first smoker, and which actually was a Traeger grill, and just finding all the things that I could create with that. But man, I know that there was a lot more when I got my first Weber kettle, and
for sure
could cook with charcoal. And
well, you know what's interesting? I don't know. You follow Tuffy Stone, I'm sure, a little bit here and there. And I saw something that he posted a while back. Basically talking about what you're saying here is his. Sorry, I've got a technical thing I'm working on here. Bear with me one second. Anyway, he talked about how his dad got his start on a Weber kettle, which that was awesome because actually I think everyone has been exposed to a Weber kettle at some point, and they're kind of the ones that brought it out and started like the backyard chef kind of dad thing, with barbecue. So yeah, that's cool, man. And talk a little bit more, because I know we've talked in the past, and you talked about your first fire.
Yeah.
So I want to hear that one.
Man, my first fire, like, believe it or not, I was in college, so I was 18 years old. I'm a freshman in college, and it was a beautiful spring day in Minnesota. I went to college in Minnesota, and we kind of, me and some buddies were like, well, let's go to a park. Let's do something, and let's grill some food. So we went to the grocery store, and we got everything that we thought we needed to make a fire and cook some burgers. We got charcoal, we got burger, and we decided to grab some lighter food, because that's how we thought.
You did.
Yeah, that's what you did. It's right there by the charcoal, right? So we grabbed a bottle of that.
Need it.
We must need it. Went out to the park, loaded up this grill with charcoal, and just doused it with the lighter fluid. And we threw a match on there, and it lit. Flames were going, and as soon as those flames started to go down, we thought, man, we got to add more lighter fluid, because we got to keep those flames going.
Dude, I'm guilty too. I did that. Yeah.
Right. So throughout the whole cook, that's all it was us dousing lighter fluid to keep the flames up. And those burgers, man, they tasted disgusting.
Yeah.
All they
like
did,
petroleum.
Yes,
Yeah.
like straight up petroleum. Like, we threw them away and went and got fast food. Like, so we all start somewhere, right?
Yeah. So your discovery through that process was I must be doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah, and then that's what led you probably to start exploring, like, how to actually light a fire and not need that junk. Yeah. So what was your encounter with like, did you ask somebody about it, or who did you ask?
Yeah, well, I called my dad.
I knew he was going to say that. Everybody calls their dad or their mom one.
Dad, this was terrible. What did I do wrong? Oh.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. So do you cook for time and not for temp?
So...
or vice versa?
Vice versa, man. You cook for that internal temperature. Of your meat or whatever you're cooking, right?
Yeah.
You can say a brisket's going to take this long. If you pull it off after 10 hours because someone told you it's going to take 10 hours, you're going to probably have a tough, chewy piece of meat.
Yeah, yeah. So is there any kind of tips that you could, like, throw out there for the guy that's listening here that maybe never, like, maybe had a similar experience to what you just talked about? Like,
yeah.
So go along with the cooking at internal temp thing, like something in there. Is there some secret you can let out that these new guys need to hear? Yeah.
So here's the thing. Be patient with barbecue. Be patient. So whether it's you messed up a cook like I did with my charcoal lighter fluid dilemma, or it's you cooked a brisket and it was super tough. Both of them take patience in a different way, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm going to say I'm going to cook a brisket, I'm waiting till that thing gets to 203 and I see that
203,
thing,
huh?
Around 203, sometimes more. That's when I start checking it and making sure that it is the consistency and it looks good for me. So
do you think that cooking at a lower temperature, the internal temperature is done at a lower temp, is more tender, like 197, something like that, and hotter you cook, the higher the temp? Is that true, you think, or is that a myth also?
Hey, stay tuned. That's something we're going to test.
Cool.
That's something we're going to test.
Right on. That's good, man. This is going to be fun. It's going to be really cool watching your journey with this thing, because there's a lot of guys out there that have done something similar, over the years, but I think it's time for somebody else to come in and somebody fresh and do it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's fun.
So I think that some of the I have a guy in mind that I'm thinking of that has done something like this, and like what you're doing with barbecue MythBusting, and he's done a fantastic job over the years, but he's been doing it a very long time, and so it's almost like maybe a lot of the folklore, barbecue folklore, has been caused by the some of the ways that they've said to do things, and I wonder about that sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, it'll be awesome. So we use the phrase smoker journey around here. We actually do that a lot.
Right.
What does your smoker journey mean to you?
Yeah, my smoker journey, to me, it's something that I get to give back with, right? I get to give back to my family. My smoker journey is building on that, but also just, man, as I get to give back to other people and the love of barbecue, which the community that it brings in that, man. I've grown more in the community and met more people through barbecue than I ever thought I would, and that's part of my smoker journey. It means a lot to me. Speaking
to that, this is awesome because, like, I remember back in the day when I got my start, right? 'Cause we had our forum. We started back in 2010, but I didn't actually get on any social media, Facebook or nothing until probably 2012, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was going to be one of those guys that just held out forever and never got on, but anyway, we wound up on there. So, but the funny thing is that I remember the day that I was like, gosh, I want to just hang out with barbecue guys. And so Facebook was about adding people you knew at the time. And I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to start adding everybody that's got a chicken leg in his hand or sitting in front of a grill or whatever it is. Everybody says barbecue in their name, And I just started adding everybody. Well, it's kind of funny because that is the way the barbecue industry is. You'll get a bunch of guys add you as friends you never even heard of, but they've been watching you, or you came up in a feed and they thought you were interesting, and so it's almost like you can form relationships with people on the other side of the world. I know we have with SmokerBuilder. Form relationships with people on the other side of the world that never even heard your name before. And, one day they pop into your shop and whatever it is, and you're just like, dang, dude. I can think of Mikasa66 on our forum. Alan, he's from Australia, and like New South Wales or something like that in Australia. Dude, we talked back and forth for 2 years, and one day popped in the shop. That's who made that little cooker on the other side of the glass.
That's crazy.
There. He came up here. Awesome. Anyway, just all kinds of memories, man, and relationships are awesome. So, speaking of that, where do you see yourself in the future, say 5 or 10 years? What do you see PitMaster Pastor? What does it look like to you? If you could future cast, are you scared of that?
I'm scared of it. But if I could future cast, so what I could see in the future is, man, being able just to produce great content that helps people.
Sure.
Great content that helps people. So currently, you see the stuff that I'm doing. It's pretty basic, and it's just me. But I do believe that there's a future in PitMaster Pastor and BBQ MythBuster.
So do you see like a movement of barbecue MythBusters?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. Yeah, I love it. That's definitely that's really interesting, because like the barbecue forums back in the day, like the Smoke Ring and the Barbecue Brethren, and of course our side wasn't really much for cooking because we all just built pits, but we had our own myths we were busting, and then some of these other ones. The cooking and stuff that went on, and people trying new things, like the Fatty was actually born on the Barbecue Brethren side, years ago. It was a joke, and a lot of the stuff that comes out because mainstream was started as a joke, some guy did just to say, oh, we'll just put more bacon on it because this thing sucks, Anyway, it's just awesome to see that develop as time goes. So let's talk a little bit about PitMaster Pastor directly. Like, what you call yourself PitMaster Pastor, which to me the name is self-explanatory, but what does that actually mean?
It is self-explanatory, but I've actually had guys ask me, is it because of Al Pastor tacos?
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's hilarious. I never thought of that.
I'm like, no, it's not. I'm actually a legitimate pastor. So,
that's cool.
Over the past 10 years, I've worked in churches, and so what pays the bills.
Youth pastor specifically.
Youth pastor,
yeah.
So I specifically work with students, grades 6 through 12. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's cool. And so does your faith have a impact on your barbecue?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You gotta say yeah to that one.
And I think you could see it throughout this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, community, it's a word that I kept saying.
Community, contribution.
Yeah,
I hear you say that a lot,
man. The thing that it gets to bring people together, and I truly believe that, but that you can bring people together through barbecue.
So that's really good, man. So I got to ask you a question. So one of the things that just occurred to me is you came up here to buy a Draftmaster drum smoker.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're here. You brought a draft. Are you going to start busting some Draftmaster myths? Do you think they're myths?
There might be.
Is there a challenge there?
There might be a challenge.
Awesome. So what do you have in mind? I mean, I could throw a few things out there that I say.
Yeah.
And you could literally take this podcast and treat it as Frank's challenging you to bust a couple myths to see if I'm right or wrong.
Let's do it.
All right.
One that I've been thinking of.
Okay.
Right away. So one of the things you say is that
you
can run this thing for up to 20 hours on one basket of charcoal.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one of the first things we're going to check.
True story, which you have a 2-piece adjustable baffle plate that you're bringing home also, because you're going to test the baffle plates. All right. So, by the way, he bought all this stuff. This is not me giving it to him to test and get better results. This is straight up unbiased. Like, he's going to hold my feet to the coals. He told me that when we started this conversation. So, anyway, you're bringing that 2-piece adjustable baffle plate home. So, the heat shield, the block-off plate, and the basket, and that was all original. And then the only thing difference between the first time we tested it and now is the adjustable baffle plate.
Sure.
So, because now we have the Super Tuner also, but the adjustable baffle plate was the first one. So with the original baffle, with my finger set, I always say 30%. That's 2 fingers open on a little more than 2 fingers open on the adjustable. That thing ran for 38 hours.
38 hours.
38 hours. I got it on video. Yes.
Wow.
Well, not the whole 38 hours,
Right,
but yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the clincher. Okay, I wasn't cooking when I did it. I didn't open the lid a whole lot. But the next morning, so I started at 7 a.m. The next day, 24 hours later, 7 a.m., I had to shake the can a little bit because the bridged, I didn't open it up, but I shook it. It was running about 200 when I got to work. And I shook the can, and then it came back up to 250, and it finished out at 38 hours. Yeah, when it started to go down. And that was when it was down to about 150 is when I killed it, because basically by then it's starting to cool off and die. So let's see what you can do with that. It was 32 degrees outside, and it had snowed overnight. And that's one of the reasons it was down in temp, was because the lid's an inch tall and it was holding water on it.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Anyway, let's see what you can do. Maybe you can do 45. Who knows?
I can.
I don't know. And we was doing that at 250 degrees.
All right, 250.
So just so I have it well documented here.
Yep, 250. That's
so
what we're at.
That's my claim. We'll see if you can match it, beat it, or if I'm full of crap.
Yep. We're gonna
You think I'm full of crap?
No, I don't.
You don't think I'm full of crap?
I personally don't, but we're going to find out.
A lot of other people do. So we don't publish 38 hours, but we do say that you can get 20 hours on.
Yeah.
And that's with lump is what I was using. So, but anyway, well, guys, I know I had a good time with this episode. If you have an interest in becoming or coming on the podcast one day, just shoot us a message. We'll try to fit you on. I love it when people come by the shop and we're able to dig down into your barbecue journey and kind of figure out where you're at and what's important to you, and let the listeners hear what you got to say. And while you're at it, please go down below wherever you're watching or listening to. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review. We really would like that. Tells us if we suck or not. I hope we don't suck, but we try hard. So anyway, also if you got any questions or anything like that, shoot us a message on social media or an email, or even just call us. Doesn't matter to me. And let us know what you'd like us to cover on the show. I think pretty soon here we got some more technical information coming up. So anyway, guys, until next time, light a fire, cook something, teach somebody the barbecue culture. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for listening.